How are you guys doing? Hope you had a good week. It's October already, almost the end of the year. Per months na naman. And before I start, I'd like to get to know my audience a little bit better. And usually I just only have one rule when I speak. I've been speaking for over a decade now. And that rule is honesty. If I ask you a question, just let me know the answer. And right now, I'm not on stage. I'm in Zoom. So if you're going to be answering me, it's going to be in the chat box. So I would like to know a little bit more about my audience today. Who are you guys? What year are you in? If you're still in school, and what do you guys do? What's your course? Please let me know. Just leave it in the chat box. For example, first year, second year, third year, studying IT, studying accounting. Okay, can you guys let me know? Grade 12 ABM student. Okay, cool. Wow, that's very young. Still a grade 12 student. JD. Second year business administration. Grade 12 STEM. Wow. So it's a very diverse. It's a very diverse group that you guys are, and from all stages of life. So fourth year, okay, accountancy. So meron ding mga nasa 19 years old na, meron tayong mga 16, meron tayong mga 12 years old. Very interesting. Okay, thank you so much. And my story for today is actually about me being in school as well, just like you guys. When I was young, dati I could say we're not so far apart, but now I'm 33, so I'm a little bit more advanced in age. And the title of my talk is How to Become CEO at age 22. You see, I was 22 years old when I founded my first company, SEO Hacker, and now it's a multi-million peso company with over 50 people in-house. And we do employ especially fresh grads, but we do have people from all age range, my age as well. Some people are older than me in the company also. So this is the story. And actually, I have like 3 to 4 stories for you today. No big deal. That's it. So let me start. First off, I'm an author. I wrote 3 books already. CEO 22 being the first one. And actually, my talk for you today is part of chapter 1 of the book. I wrote 50x Your Business, which is out in Amazon. By the way, CEO 22, if you'd like a copy, you could buy it from Lazada and Shopee. It's there, and I do sign the copies as well. And I run and own for now 5 companies because I started one during the pandemic. SEO Hacker being my first baby and the biggest among all my businesses. I've been featured in a lot of publications, Rappler, TEDx, TV5, and a lot of digital publications. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing in FHM, I'm not a model. I'm not in the centerfold. They just asked me a question about SEO and I answered it. That's it. It's a fully wholesome feature with Mr. Jose Marichan. I need to make that disclaimer. Okay, here are some companies that we work with, and this is not yet updated up to today, but these are some of the businesses that are served by SEO Hacker. And yung mga nadagdag na company na malaki-laki, hindi pa namin nilagay dyan for last year and this year. But I hope you know some of the brands. So these are the companies that we manipulate search results for in Google. Okay, here's a picture of a restroom. Now, here's a question for you, and please let me know your answers again in the chat box. If I lock you up in this restroom for 1 hour, will you be happy, yes or no? If I lock you up in there for 1 hour, are you gonna be happy? Yes or no? Of course not, right? Who's gonna be happy being locked there? We're not gonna be, yeah, I will be bored. There you go. You're gonna be bored. There's no Wi-Fi there. You know why? You know why I know there's no Wi-Fi there? Because that's my dad's restroom in his office. For the longest time, yan ang CR ng dad ko. And he owns the business. He owns a hardware distribution company. Okay? Sabi nila, pag Filipino-Chinese ka nakatira sa Pilipinas, your family is in 1 out of 2 businesses, either hardware or textile. My dad is in hardware. That's the restroom that I would go to because since grade 6, I would work for him. Nagbubodigero po ako For those of you who don't know the definition of bodeguero, it is someone who carries hardware to and fro the truck from the bodega or from the hardware store. And all the way until college, my dad asked me to work for him. So I was going to sell hardware stuffs like GI wire, pipes, box ng pako. I would sell that for my dad. And I learned how to value money that way. I learned how to value money. I also want you to know I wasn't born rich. This is how my dad's office looked like. We weren't rich. We weren't a rich family. Okay. Sorry about that. I shared the same room with my wife, and she's having our Bible study right now. So hope that's not disturbing for you guys. But yeah, so this is for you to know. I wasn't born rich. My dad was in the middle. We were able to get by. We were able to get by, I'd say. Di naman kami nagutom, and my dad was able to take me through school all the way through college. But I wasn't born rich. Let's get that straight. Now, here's my first story for you, where I was during college. I studied ICTM. It's just a fancy acronym for IT. Basically, I was an IT student in De La Salle University. And I had a simple dream company, and that's Hewlett Packard. Bakit Hewlett Packard? Bakit HP? Well, there was an upperclassman who came back one day while I was still in college, and he's a good friend of mine. Nakagraduate na siya, nakapasok siya sa HP. Kasi ito sabi niya sa akin, Sean, okay dun sa HP kasi okay yung starting salary. Ito yung starting salary. Pinulong niya sa akin. Tapos, meron kang clothing allowance per year. It wasn't much, but during that time, I didn't get a lot of new clothes. I didn't have money, so clothing allowance seemed pretty good. You get an HMO. Sounds good. Even if I didn't really get sick and I wouldn't use it, HMO sounds good. And you get rice allowance. May bigas. Nanlaki yung mata niya doon sa bigas, as if it was a big deal. But sabi ko, yeah, you know what? That sounds like a pretty good company to work for when I graduate in college. So I just set my eyes on trying to get to HP as a dream company. And I had an aspiration as well. And I aspired to, like any normal student, buy my first car. Sino ba sa inyo dito? Pag graduate nyo, gusto nyo may kotse na kayo. Yung mga wala pong kotse ngayon, baka kasi sa inyo, you're blessed with very capable parents. They bought you a car already. Pero yung mga wala pang kotse, like me, before, I didn't have a car. Who has an aspiration like me na after I graduate, I want to buy my first car? Doesn't matter if it's secondhand or brand new. Okay, can you put it in the chat box below? Just say, that's me or me. Tignan natin kung may mga kaparehas pa ako dito. Wala. Wow. Probably a motorcycle? House muna po. Wow. That's very admirable. Very difficult, but very admirable. Okay. There we go. So we have a couple of people. Actually, we have more than a handful of people who are like me, who want to buy our first car. And it's not a very rare aspiration. We just want something of our own, something that we can get into, right? It's a car. It can take us from point A to point B. So I calculated it. Assuming, Hewlett Packard gives me a starting salary of $25,000, which is not a bad starting salary, by the way. Assuming that HP gives me a salary of $25,000 a month, how long will it take me to buy a Toyota Vios? Na least of the line, yung pinakamababa, yung pinakamurang Toyota Vios, manual. Alam naman natin mahirap ang manual dito sa Metro Manila, pero manual, para pinakamura na yun. And I figured out it would take me at least 5 years to pay it off. Is 5 years a long time for you? Let's just say you guys are in school. School is usually only 4 years until you graduate. What if you graduate 5 years? Matagal na ba yun para sa inyo? If for you matagal na yun, just say yes in the chat box. Is 5 years a long time for you? Okay. Yes. All right. Yeah. That's just 1 year more than the 4 years, but 5 years seems like a very long time, right? So for me, paying that car off in 5 years sounded like a long time. And sabi ko, tagal nun, Toyota Vios, lease of the line, manual pa. Hindi pa yun yung gusto kong kotse. Ang gusto kong kotse nun, Mazda 3. Kasi kakalabas lang nung bagong Mazda 3 and it looked really nice. So sabi ko, wow, it's so difficult to be able to afford the car that I want. And so sabi ko, okay, how am I gonna do this? But there's a problem. Here's the problem. I was addicted to computer games. Can you guess which computer game I was addicted to? Okay. For those of you who can guess it right, magkaedad tayo. Dota, yes. Dota 1. Yung Dota maps pa ng Warcraft 3. That is it. Sobrang patok yun ng time ko sa school. And those who got it right, congratulations. You have really good insight. I was part of this team now known as Mineski. Not part of the main team, but more of Team B, more of the background team. I would play computer games. My gosh, 8 hours a day. Parang nag-com shop na lang ako instead na pumasok, no? And I would fail a lot of classes because I would cut them. It's not because I was having difficulty in my studies or I didn't understand the lesson. It's more of I would cut classes. So I failed 28 smiling faces in my transcript of records. And I didn't really care anymore. Because you know what I figured out? IT is not something that I like to study. You see, when I passed LaSalle, I applied for 3 courses. IT, ComSci, and literature. And when I was being asked, Sean, what do you want to study here in LaSalle? Give us your final decision. I told my parents, I feel like studying literature because I'm very passionate about writing. Early on, 12 years old pa lang ako, I knew I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write books. I wanted to be a writer. And typical Filipino-Chinese parents, sabi nila sa akin, wag ka dyan, walang pera dyan. Mag-IT ka na lang. So, nag-IT ako. Ayun nga, hindi ko nagustuhan yung IT. Akala ko, may computer games development, wala. Pero maraming computer games kasi katabi lang yung com shop. So, na-addict ako sa Dota and failed a lot. And you know what? Instead of 3 years and 1 term in LaSalle, I finished after almost 5 years. Albert Einstein said this, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life thinking it was stupid. So during that time, I just felt like this isn't for me. This is not for me. Ang hina ako sa IT. I am not interested in it at all. That is the problem I was stuck with before I graduated college. Now, what happened after graduation? This is my second story for you. So, I graduated. Finally, my dad was so happy. He didn't have to pay the tuition fee anymore. All of the miscellaneous fees in school. I applied for HP and it's the only company I applied for. Yabang, no? Only company. And I felt like I would get rejected 100%. You know why? I showed them my transcript of failures. 28 ba naman yung units na binagsak mo? Sino ba tatanggap sa'yo niyan? Dami-daming graduate ng LaSalle, Ateneo, UP, AMA, STI, you name it, FEU, UE. Ang daming schools, maraming graduate, IT rin, pero sila walang bagsak. Ako 28 units yung bagsak. What are the chances that an international company like HP would accept me? But that's one of the miracles of my life. Up until today, I can't tell you why they got me. I can't. Maybe they were drunk that day or high. I don't know what went in their minds, why they would accept a guy like me. It's one of the miracles of my life. But here's the problem. I spent just 5 short months working for my dream company. Just 5 short months. And I wasn't fired. I resigned. Would you like to know why? Would you like to know why I resigned from my dream company? If you'd like to know why, just say yes in the chat box. And then I'll tell you the rest of the way. All right. Sige. Here's the reason why I resigned, guys. Listen up. I resigned because I didn't like the job. It was my dream company, but not my dream job. You see, alam ko na nga nabagsakin ako sa IT kasi hindi ako interested sa IT. Yun pa yung kinuha kong trabaho, IT specialist sa HP. It was my dream company, but not my dream job. And what really caught me was the payout and the perks, which is a dangerous thing to be in when you're serving a company that you work for. If all that's keeping you is the payout and the perks, that's a dangerous thing. Another reason why I left is SEO Hacker was growing and I was making 4 times the amount I was making in HP per month. So it didn't make sense for me to commute from BF Parañaque to Ortigas, which is a tricycle, a jeep, a bus, MRT, and a 15-minute walk one way. Tapos yung pauwi, ganun din. Walk, MRT, bus, jeep, tricycle, bahay. So that's my life every day. And I have to be in the office by 9 a.m. So I would get up at 6 a.m. every day. And it didn't make sense because when I was doing SEO Hacker, I was just at home. I'd spend 2-3 hours a day and I would get paid 4 times what I was making in HP. So that was good enough reason for me to finally resign. But I did transition well. I trained the next in line. And me and my managers and supervisors had a good understanding that I was doing this because I have a better opportunity with my business. Now, here's my third story for you. How did I become CEO? I love writing. Put me in a box, give me a pen and paper, and I would write the entire day. I know this since I was young. It is a blessing for me. I started a blog called God and You. And this blog is still alive, although it's not called God and You anymore. It's under my blog right now, sean.c.si/ideas. You can find my blogs there. And I wanted more people during that time to read the things that I wrote. Because when you're a writer, you write your heart out and you just want people to be able to read your ideas. You want people to be able to read what you want to put out to the world. And so I looked it up. How do I increase my readers? Because, I realized that there's only 3 people reading my blogs. And the worst thing is those 3 people, that's my brother, my mother, and my sister. So sabi ko, nakaka-depress naman maging writer dito sa blog ko. Paano ko ba increase yung readers ko? Paano ko ba increase yung subscribers ko? So I searched around and this thing called SEO kept popping up. And search engine optimization is basically manipulating search results in Google. So the top 10 results in Google, those are not top 10 just because, Google just wants to put the top 10 there, just slap a result there. There is an algorithm behind it, and there is a certain logic why Google will rank certain results in the first page of Google. So I studied that. That's SEO. How do I get to the top of the search results? And I was able to do it and rank my blog and get a lot of readers. And up to today, my blog gets around 500 readers per day, which is not so bad considering I haven't written there for good long while, and I'm also not consistent anymore in how I write there because I'm running a couple of companies today. But my journey to turning it into a business wasn't so smooth. It started when I finally graduated and I went to Hong Kong. My dad was so happy. That was his grad gift to me. Pina-Hong Kong niya ako, kasama siya. We had a small tour. And when we were in this cruise from Hong Kong to Macau, there was a lady there. Nakatabi ko lang siya. By random. Sobrang random. Sabi niya, what do you do? I said, I'm supposed to get to HP next month. Because when I graduated, I worked na kagad. Kasi nga 5 years ako sa college. I was overdue to work. So sabi ko, I was gonna work in HP next month. But I also do SEO on the side. And sabi niya, my uncle needs that, SEO. So I was so shocked during that time. I have never met a single soul who knew what SEO was. So I asked her, are you sure we're talking about the same thing, SEO, search engine optimization? And she said, yes. That's it. My uncle in the Philippines needs that. He owns the biggest scuba diving company in the Philippines. And it turns out it was Scuba World, which is the biggest scuba diving company in the Philippines. So sabi niya, I'll refer you to him. And sabi ko, I'd be honored. I'd love for you to be able to do that and work with your uncle. But here's what happened. At the back of my head, I was thinking, what are the chances that she will remember me? What are the chances that she will refer me to her uncle? We met by random here in the cruise. She doesn't know me. I don't have a portfolio. I don't have a company name. I don't have a DTI registration. I don't have a BIR registration. She doesn't know my results, my outputs. What are the chances that she'll remember me? We'll buy pasalubong, go back home, unpack our bags, give our pasalubongs. What are the chances she'll remember me? But as it turns out, she did remember. And when we got back home, I received a call from her uncle. And he called up and I said, who's this? He said, it's XXX. And he said, come to my office, present what you got. And I said, I'll be there, no problem. I had no idea how much SEO cost during that time. So you know what I did? I Googled it. Magkano ba ang SEO? How much does SEO cost? What is the kind of pricing and payout model should I give this guy? And Google told me, SEO is a monthly retainer and it costs somewhere $1,000 a month. So I printed that proposal and I printed it in a short bond paper, which you should never do, by the way, dapat legal size. And I only printed one copy, which again, you should never do because you should print at least 3 copies. And that showed my being naive. I didn't know how to do things. I didn't know how to run a business. Short bond paper, 1 copy. Sobrang nakakahiya yung ginawa ko. Kulang na lang natapunan pa ng kape bago ko ipasa sa kanya. I went to his office, presented that. And I was thinking before I went there, nakakahiya to, wala akong mape-present. Ang ipe-present ko yung Garden U vlog ko. Wala na akong ibang portfolio. Wala na akong ibang nagawa. He's probably gonna shout at me and I'd go home with my tail between my legs ashamed. But I gathered my guts and showed up, presented to him, and it was another miracle in my life. He signed the contract and agreed to $1,000 a month. The rest, as they say, is history. Today, SEO Hacker is a multi-million peso company, and we have over 60 plus brands now under our wing and almost 60 people, all in-house in the Philippines. Our office is in BF Parañaque. It's 2 floors in a commercial building. But right now, we're all working from home ever since March. So since March last year, walang tao sa office. We're all completely working from home. Now, here's my 4th and last, not story, but more of lesson for you. How SEO Hacker grew. Would you like to know how I grew the company? From a one-man show, freelancer, and my capital was just 1,300 pesos. 500 pesos for the domain name seo-hacker.com. That's for a year, 500 pesos lang yon. And then 800 pesos for the 1 gigabyte worth of web hosting. Para lang may website ako. Total capital, 1,300 pesos. How did I grow it from 1,300 pesos to where we were today? Easy. Hard work. Work hard. Work as hard as you can. Every day, I would read a lot of blogs, a lot of books, learn as much as I can about the digital marketing industry, as well as read books about leadership, management, and entrepreneurship. I would also write a lot during that time. I would still write now, but I write in my journal. I write in my personal reflection blog, and that's it. I don't write a lot anymore compared to days before when I was starting out. I would manage cash flow. The most important thing in a business when you're starting up, it's not your idea, it's not your marketing, it's not your people, it's not even you, the founder. The most important thing is your cash flow. Is revenue greater than expenses? Because if expenses is greater than revenue, you don't have a good business and you'd soon bleed out and die. So I manage cash flow. I do accounts management. I manage our clients. Clients expect the sun, moon, and stars. You have to tell them we're here on Earth. There's gravity. This is all you can get. A lot of other things Besides these, like building the company culture, making sure the hiring process is great, processizing everything, professionalizing everyone, it's a lot of hard work. When you want to be CEO early on, you guys are young, and you have a good shot at being CEO of your own company when you're young. It involves a lot of hard work. Now, I say CEO at 22, but don't think it was glorious. My first office was in the attic of my parents' house. It was very hot, and I would often work topless with my shorts on, and that's it. Sa sobrang init. I was CEO, but that's my office, right? So it's nothing glorious. That's how I started. Now, some people would start with a lot more money, with a lot better looking, fancier office. Fine. As long as you know what you're doing, you're the best at it, you serve your clients well, you have integrity, you can make it fly. You know what I realize as I end, and I hope you learn from my stories, is work can be enjoyed. If you enjoy 70% of your work, okay na yun. You can't enjoy 100%. I don't like firing people, but I have to do that. I don't like telling people about their offenses, but I got to do that. I don't like suing. I don't like doing the contracts, writing the contracts. I don't like these things. I don't like doing accounting, but I have to do these things. It's part of my job. So if you enjoy 70% of your work, that's a blessing already. 50%, okay na yun. Work can be enjoyed. You don't need to work in a job you hate to retire with dignity someday. Now, what do I mean by retiring with dignity? Retiring with dignity is having enough money for yourself when you're old and gray, for your parents when they need your help, for your children as they grow up, for the community, and for God who demands 10% of all you make. That's what I mean with retiring with dignity. So as I wrap up the three things you need to become CEO at a young age, first is God. Now, if you're wondering, nasan si God doon? Does God in you blog? Not so. You know my story about how by chance I met that lady. By chance, she had an uncle in the Philippines. By chance, he owns the biggest scuba diving company here. By chance, that uncle called me up. They remembered me. By chance, we got to sign the contract. How lucky can a guy get? You know, how lucky can I get? And that started SEO Hacker. The second reason why I say God should be first and you need God to become CEO at an early age is I have met a lot of successful people, and there are two kinds. The first one is successful and fulfilled. The second one is successful and miserable. Now, what is more sad than successful ka na? You have all the money in the world, but you're miserable. I don't think there's anything sadder than that. I don't think anything is more tragic than that. Now, what's the differentiator? Successful people, when I ask them, are you happy? You know their answer? I could not be happier. I could not be happier. They have God in their life. They follow His word. They have one wife. Their children respect them. No vices. Their people respect them in the company. And they're happy. They're genuinely happy. Successful and miserable people, I ask them, are you happy? You know their answer? I could be happier. Things could be better. A lot of vices, mistresses, wife does not respect them, children don't respect them. You look at their life, it's a mishap and a hodgepodge of unfortunate events. And they don't have God in the center of their lives. They may have God, they may profess to believe in God, but they don't follow God. And life for them is about the here and now. There's no eternity after this. So I share with you God because I want you guys to know if you should be successful someday. I want you to be successful and fulfilled. Put God in the center of your life and your business. Second is guts. You got to have guts. That time when the owner of the biggest scuba diving company called me up and I had nothing, no DTI paper, no BIR, no company name, nothing. It took a lot of guts for me to say, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up in percent. And if I didn't do that, guess what? I'll probably still be in HP. I don't have what I have right now. From 1,300 pesos, I have, it's so surreal. What I have today is so surreal. I got married at the right age I wanted. I was 25 when I got married. It's a 500 guest wedding. I'm able to buy a house and lot here in BF Parañaque, good sized lot. I have too many cars already, like 5 cars, and too much. I should get rid of some of them because especially during the pandemic, they're not doing anything. And it's just mind blowing, what happened to me. And if I didn't do that, I'd still probably be employed today, and I don't have what I have right now. And lastly, hard work. Nothing in life worth doing is easy. Remember that. Nothing in life worth doing is easy. These things that I shared with you is part of chapter 1 of my book, CEO at 22. If you would like to know the rest of my stories on how I became CEO and how I grew the company, you can get it from Lazada and Shopee or from my website, sean.c/book. I would sign your copy, just let me know. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, that's my email address right there, sean@seo-hacker.com. I do read and respond to my emails. It would take some time, sometimes a day or two, since I get at least 200 emails a day, but I do read and respond to each of them. I hope you enjoyed this short talk, and I hope you learned a lot out of it. Thank you for having me. God bless you.